This is SU News, COVID on campus.
Taking a live look outside, Suffolk University's downtown campus looking great today as we get ready for the holiday. It's a little bit chilly and a little bit windy, but we're here and we're ready to go. Thanks for starting your Tuesday with us this November morning. I'm Josh DePiel.
And I'm Sadia Croshaw. Welcome to SU News.
Coming up in this half hour, COVID on campus. Students navigating new changes as COVID continues to threaten their fall semester here in Boston.
For students at Suffolk University, that means coming to terms with some serious changes. Our co-anchor Josh DePiel has more.
An alarming number of new COVID cases threatens the safety of local college students. At Suffolk University, this has forced a change in the academic calendar at the end of November. In an announcement made by President Marissa Kelly, Suffolk University decided to have in-person classes end after Thanksgiving, causing all classes to finish the semester over Zoom.
I feel like it was a safe option, especially because, the past week cases are hitting 100,000 cases a day.
I think the decision kind of makes sense, especially seeing what some of my other friends at other Boston schools are doing.
Using the university-provided testing sites, students have been able to minimize and reduce the spread of COVID for most of the semester. Recently, however, a spike in cases and future student travel plans pressured faculty to join other Boston area schools in closing down classrooms for the remainder of the year.
Colleges don't want 10,000 kids who have COVID on their campus.
I was surprised we didn't come out this way, but I'm not surprised that we ended up here.
The Suffolk administration hopes this decision will stop potential spreads of the virus and help the city of Boston deal with rising cases.
If everything gets shut down again, then what's going to happen? Everyone's just going to stay in their hotel room and never leave?
Suffolk students will be able to stay in the residence halls, but must finish the academic year over Zoom. Reporting in Boston, I'm Josh DePiel, Suffolk News. With the rising rate in coronavirus cases, Suffolk University says they're doing everything they can to stay up to date. Just how well is this working out? SU News reporter Oscar Torres takes a look at how Suffolk's testing regime is doing.
Suffolk University's testing began in August. Over 32,000 tests, 60 positive cases, and 4 months later, this brings the question, is Suffolk University doing enough? Assistant Director of Medical Operations, Tracy Allen, has been leading this effort to keep this deadly virus away.
We knew that we were taking a risk, opening up this fall.
But with a testing plan that involves students that come at least once a week, Suffolk University has experienced low positivity rates.
Positivity rate that is very, very low. About between 0.2 and 0.3.
In other words,
excellent.
Suffolk's positivity rate is actually lower than the one you just heard. With reducing to one testing site, it's not because of the low positive rate, but because Suffolk isn't meeting the standards of their agreement with the Broad Institute, which is in charge of processing the tests.
We were not meeting our contractual obligation to the Broad with whom we signed this commitment. We were not testing enough.
What seemed last semester for some students to be a spring break with no immediate sense of return, some students decided returning back to Suffolk was safer than their home state.
Where I'm from, Miami-Dade is a very Hispanic county, and I just knew that compared to where I was living, it was a safe bet coming back compared to Florida.
With cases hovering in the 60s and classes moving remotely after Thanksgiving, it is likely we will see a decline in testing, but also a decline in positive results. In Boston, Massachusetts, I'm Oscar Torres.
A year ago, Suffolk students probably never thought they'd be living in a hotel and going to school at the same time. Today, that's a reality. Imani James has the story.
The sweet life of Zach and Cody comes to life with college students all over Boston living in hotels because of COVID-19. After the pandemic hit, colleges in Boston had to come up with a new way to keep their students safe, and they did this by housing them in single hotel rooms. Suffolk University students tell us how they are adapting to hotel life.
Oh my God, I love it in the hotel. I've seen all the other hotels, the pictures of them inside, and I just feel like this one's way better. The YMCA is here. There's a gym here, plus there's another gym downstairs. It's not open yet. There's a restaurant here. I just ordered some food. I got like 10 wings and some fries, a drink, and like 3 cookies for like $10.
Resident assistant at the Box of Boston, Lindsay Duadonay, shares a different experience.
I thought I was going to be living my best bougie life. That's opposite. I feel like I'm in a studio apartment, like in the hood, like calling my mom every week for money and food. Like, this isn't premium at all.
Lindsay also shares that the hotel would not let them use the laundry facilities out of fear of damaging it.
We went a month without laundry and everybody was like, okay, like we're leaving. And so when they started seeing people leaving, they got scared that they'd lose the money. So they allowed us to use the laundry room.
Similarly to this, over at Doubletree, there are no laundry facilities available to students just yet. Lauren Muro says that Suffolk is doing their best to keep them safe in the hotels.
Suffolk is really like a school that has like gone above and beyond, like compared to other schools. Like, I'm from Florida and like schools down there aren't doing anything. Like, they aren't even testing their students.
With no knowledge of when this pandemic will end, the new norm for future college students might just be living in a hotel. Reporting for SU News, I'm Imani James.
Students at Suffolk, studying through the pandemic at home can be a tough test. My co-anchor Sadia Croshaw has more on the story.
At Suffolk University, international students make up of 22% of the school's entire population. So, in the midst of a global pandemic, how are these students affected? Well, while some are in Boston gearing up in masks and face shields, others are learning online from thousands of miles away. Laura Acero, a film student at Suffolk, has long awaited to be back on campus after going home to Spain.
Anyways, even if I didn't have any in-person classes, like I didn't want to stay back home for my senior year. So I was like, please let me come back.
Now she's masked up in Boston, heading to only one on-campus class, when normally she would be out and about in the city filming with classmates.
You have to wear like face shields plus the mask plus like keep your distance. Like the face shield gets a little bit annoying sometimes because like it can fog up, or like you go and scratch your face and oops, you can't because there's a piece of plastic. So it's a little bit inconvenient.
Along with wearing PPE, students who have on-campus classes are also required to test for COVID-19 on a weekly basis. Now, for other students, adjusting their entire life to an online world and an opposite time schedule just for school is the bigger challenge.
11, 12 hours forward. It's definitely nighttime when I have classes.
Juliana Sanchez says she decided to stay home in Colombia and finish up her senior year in order to graduate on time, and there are pros to being home.
It is a bit sad that this is the last way to spend our semester, well, like most of our semester, but I'm happy that at least I get to spend time with my friends and family.
For SU News, I'm Sadia Croshaw. With internship opportunities coming to a halt, many students say they're nervous about the impact this will have on their resumes and future careers. Ryan Arell has more.
The spring was a tough time for students with internships as many were canceled. Glassdoor, a job site, said it saw more than a 50% decrease in internship openings between March 9th and April 13th. Offers in travel and tourism fell by 92%.
Joanna Lazarek of the Career Development Center at Suffolk University said she's seen both businesses and students adapt.
Some employers would do things like set up group chats and plan events for interns to all get together, or events where interns could meet additional members of the team who they ordinarily wouldn't interact with as much.
But like everything else, moving to an online medium might not work equally well for all students, and that some might miss the normality of office life.
For other students, I think they really lacked that, just the feeling of having a supervisor there.
Lazarek said students looking for internships should utilize the service Handshake. Ryan Arell in Boston, TV News.
COVID-19 also affecting the job search for student workers. Hannah Mitchell has more.
Online classes aren't the only thing college students are having to worry about this semester. These young adults are also struggling to find jobs. With the coronavirus heading into another wave and many people facing layoffs, part-time jobs are more desirable than ever. Melina Karpuzis, a sophomore at Suffolk University, has been looking for a job ever since she began school in September and feels as though the opportunities for college students to get jobs are minimal.
I'm, nervous about how I'm going to be able to pay rent and, all of the other stuff that come with, leasing an apartment if I don't have a job or I can't apply to a job because all of the jobs are taken up by people who are losing their full-time jobs and needing to take on part-time jobs.
And she's not the only one. Marissa Barty, another Suffolk student, had a job as a hostess prior to COVID-19 and lost her position as a result. Since then, Barty has been active on recruiting sites to find employment, but like Karpuzis, feels as though the jobs are going to those who they feel need it more.
So what I've been trying to do is I've been using a bunch of websites like ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Handshake. I've been trying to find anything. I've either been getting straight rejected or they'll say, all right, we're gonna reach out to you in a couple of days, basically letting me down softly type thing. I understand why, because they're giving the jobs to people that actually need them.
Barty and Karpuzis are amongst the many college students who will continue to look for a job during this uncertain time. From SU News, I'm Hannah Mitchell.
Flu shots will be mandatory this year for the first time ever at Suffolk University, and students on both sides of the debate are sounding off. James Sampson with the details.
At Suffolk University, the fall semester is more than halfway over. What that also means is flu season is upon us, and this year it is more important than ever to get your flu shot. Suffolk students will be required to have a mandatory flu vaccination if they want to attend campus this semester. The flu clinic will be offering shots on campus Tuesday, November 10th, and Thursday, November 12th, from 12 to 4 p.m. in Sergeant Room 495. You can also schedule flu shots at Counseling, Health, and Wellness from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Some Suffolk students are all for the mandatory flu shots.
I feel like if you're taking more than 2 classes, so if you're a full-time student, then I think most definitely, just for the fact that it could just reduce any side effects of COVID, especially with the fact that the flu and COVID, they share very similar symptoms, except of course to a greater degree with COVID. So I think it's just a better tool to have and just more of a precaution than anything.
While others are not so sure about a mandatory flu vaccination.
People should be allowed to do what they want as they please, and making that mandatory kind of goes against a lot of people's views and beliefs, which could cause people to not attend school.
Coming up, how student athletes are handling new pandemic protocols.
And later, a battle back strategy from a new Berkeley band. Stay with us, SU News will be right back.
Enjoy your Doritos.
Oh my God! My Doritos! More Doritos! My Doritos!
Guys, I have another bag.
And now, time for SU News Sports Coverage Update.
College sports have been benched amid the COVID crisis, and at Suffolk, athletics have new pandemic protocols. Celia Balfour has the latest.
As many universities across the nation transition to full remote learning, there are many questions and concerns from college athletes. With COVID cases on the rise, many Suffolk athletes are wondering if they will get to play their season at all.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have a season. There's one school in our league that Nichols, I think, they said they were gonna have a season, but three or four other leagues in the Northeast already canceled their whole season. So
For the schools still carrying on their season, there's concern about athletes contracting COVID-19, in which the entire team must quarantine for 14 days, halting their season once again.
One kid got it maybe a month and a half ago, and then 5 or 6 kids got it that week. And then another kid got it on the team, and then we kind of had another little outbreak that week where about 10 kids got it, so that was pretty big.
With those protocols in place for Suffolk sports teams, sports reporter Chris Sliwa has more on how these adjustments are affecting student athletes.
With sports finally starting to return, I spoke to a couple of student athletes in the Boston area about the adjustments they've had to make so far.
Ramon Jimenez is a baseball player at Boston College, and he took some time to talk about the adjustments it has taken in getting ready for the season in this COVID world.
Early in the fall, we had to settle with individuals, we didn't have any team stuff.
Regardless of the limited team activities, Jimenez is still confident in his team's ability this season.
We have a chance to do something special. We got a good group of guys, and we think we have a chance to make it pretty far this season, so we hope we get to play.
From Division I to Division III, everyone has to adapt in some way. I spoke with Brendan Molson, a member of Suffolk University's basketball team, about some of the obstacles he has faced so far.
Mentally, usually have a coach there, and season's already usually started October 15th, and, you're starting to train, you're starting to, get your endurance up, starting to get ready for, game-like situations. And now, if I want to get in shape and keep my endurance, it's basically all on me. There's nobody telling me, go out and get a run in. So it's really all on me. I think that's the biggest difference.
With the rise in COVID cases and other conferences in the Northeast canceling winter sports, Molson is unsure whether or not he'll have a senior season for basketball. For SU News, I'm Chris Sliwa.
From the sports field to the performing arts, everyone is feeling the COVID control. Liv Dulong has the latest coverage on the entertainment industry in Boston and how COVID-19 is stealing the show.
This year's American Music Award nominees have been announced. Top nominees include The Weeknd, Roddy Ricch, and Megan Thee Stallion, as well as Bad Bunny, Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, and Taylor Swift. And while Hollywood continues to move forward with award shows, the live entertainment industry in the U.S. stands still on red alert due to the coronavirus pandemic. In Boston, many live venues closed their doors this past March and have yet to reopen. Some even continued to display posters from their last scheduled events. For entertainment companies in Boston, the cancellations have piled on, with many carrying into the next year.
We were supposed to have our biggest event of the year in September, 2,000 plus people. That's canceled. And bi-weekly during the fall into the winter, also canceled.
I still have dates on my calendar till the end of the year of all these clubs, but we know we're not going to play them. And it's just, we hold on to them hoping that we can, but...
Members of the entertainment industry, like Brad Brody, are trying to stay positive.
Let me say this, it stopped our business, but it showed how resilient we could be and what we do when times are tough.
And artists like DJ Toomey have come up with ways to continue working from home.
Really, I think what's super important for the people in the entertainment industry, especially the DJs, is to do the best you can to keep busy, whether it be at home, doing a live stream or practicing. It's very easy to not have gigs for a while and not keep up with your music.
But for students like Paige Strach, a former nightclub manager in Boston, the red alert means finding a job post-graduation will be that much harder.
I mean, I loved my job before it. I felt like I was on track to be doing what I wanted to do with my life. I do want to work in the hospitality entertainment industry when I graduate school.
Student performers are seeing less of the limelight this year, so how is it affecting their pandemic performances? Sam Searles has the story.
So it's goodbye to apple pie, bonjour champagne.
Lyrics from the musical Ruthless hit a little too close to home this year for theater students worldwide. UArts Philadelphia student Sam Kaufman tells me a little bit more.
I was very used to being in the room, and especially in my acting classes, we were very together, we were very in the moment.
Kaufman has been home in New Hampshire since March, a far cry from the studio work she was accustomed to. Across the country, college programs have shifted online or hybrid, prompting lawsuits from students who felt their education too compromised. Kaufman is taking a gap semester.
So I have been taking a semester off, and I'm still waiting to hear what's going to happen in the spring. So I technically have junior status now, but not full junior status. So my graduation date is a question mark at the moment. But I just felt like my training had come to a different standard.
But what you're gonna do when it all falls down?
Pre-pandemic, college auditions, now largely canceled or completely online, were a gateway to national tours, Disney park work, or cruise lines.
I always had this idea that I was going to try to book a tour or a cruise line right out of school. And cruises are still down.
While the future is uncertain for many artists, technicians, and performance educators, Kaufman does have advice for how to help. Engage and stay positive.
I know it'll come back. So there are some people that are saying it'll never come back. That's not true. We're coming back. It'll just take some time.
Look out, Boston music lovers. A new band from Berklee College of Music is picking up the tempo. SU News reporter Hunter Berube met with the band, learning more about their self-proclaimed battle back, and is in Boston and has the story.
With COVID canceling music gigs across Boston, this Berklee band is wasting no time making sure their music is heard. Champagne Charlie and the Wah-Wahs were just warming up for an exciting shift as a Berklee College band, until the pandemic paused their performance.
It was we were getting ready to finally have a show and be like, hey guys, I think we're gonna be a real band.
As COVID cases locked down the nation, rehearsals quickly went from vibe sesh to online Zoom sessions.
Patsos was in California, Mike was in Jersey, Joy's in Georgia, Daniel was in Massachusetts, Daniel was in Boston, and I was at home.
But the band knew COVID-19 couldn't mute their music momentum.
It was one of the few things that, consistently gave me a reason, let's have something to look forward to. This was something that was very certain.
And when asked how they knew their battle back strategy would work,
because people will flock to good music. That's just how it works. That's the hardest part. And we have good music, so.
And sharing hopes for the future when their music is released.
Yeah, I want to exist to other people, I want people to know that I am Brady and I am in Champagne Charlie and the Wah-Wahs, and we're going to exist for real, and that's going to be really, really awesome.
Now, despite the obstacles, Champagne Charlie and the Wah-Wahs say they're ready to release new music at the end of this year. Live in downtown Boston for SU News, I'm Hunter Berube.
That was really awesome. I'd love to see them perform in person.
Definitely. Maybe when this pandemic is over, you never know.
Never know. That's all the time we have for this special edition of SU